Hello friends, welcome to Not Just a Girl, the feminist tattoo podcast where every week I give you a glimpse into the lives and art practice of some of my favourite tattooers. I'm Eddy and thank you for joining me for the first episode of this new podcast. Today, we will be discussing a return to art making, connecting with clients and tattooing in a post-COVID world. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are the traditional custodians of this land that was stolen and never ceded. I am honoured to be on the ancestral land of the Awabakal people where this podcast is recorded and produced. I pay my respects to the elders, past and present, and extend my recognition to their descendants. My wonderful guest today is Hannah Medeiros, joining us all the way from Rhode Island in the US. Hannah works at Torchbearer in Providence, and well, she will be once all the madness subsides.
Exactly.
She does exquisite line work tattoos with etching and stippling that are very romantic and detailed. I got to meet Hannah when I was at Black Iris in New York last year and had the great honour of tattooing her and getting to know her a bit. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, or tonight for you. So how are things on your side of the world?
Oh, thank you for interviewing me and letting me be a part of it. Things are going pretty good. It's been, I'm currently living in a really small town that I grew up in of about 3,000 people. So I feel pretty lucky to be away from the chaos versus where I was before in Brooklyn. I was actually doing a guest spot in Providence right as all of this started happening, which is about 45 minutes from where my parents live. And then I started gradually seeing how crazy it was getting in New York. And I was like, why would I go back to that, when I could be in a much more like secluded, quiet place. I did not think I would still be here 8 weeks later, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, nuts.
Wow. It must have been like a big change because you've been in New York for a year now, is that?
Yeah, it was a year. Yeah, actually April marked a full year. So it was an interesting way to end my chapter in New York, but I think it made sense just because it's a lot of us I think are kind of struggling with the fact that we don't know how long any of this is going to last, when we can start supporting ourselves again. So, obviously like rent in New York is super expensive, and the thought of just hemorrhaging money every month, not knowing when I'd be back at work was kind of seemed like a decision. The decision made itself for me to move back to Rhode Island. So
yeah,
made the most sense.
And what have you been doing, like in Providence?
Oh yeah. I've been trying to be busy with. I actually went to college for oil painting, and I haven't really touched it since my early 20s. And it's been almost like a decade since I've done it in a serious way. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I've been doing oil painting commissions and some illustration commissions here and there, but besides that, I actually work at a horse stable, like walking distance from my parents' house. So I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, a few days a week, and shovel shit and ride horses. So it's definitely different than in New York.
Oh wow!
It went from, like one extreme to the other very quickly.
That is crazy. Have you always like had a lot to do with horses? Because I tattooed a horse on you.
You did, yeah. Coming full circle now. I used to ride as like a kid and a teenager. I used to show a bit, and it's like a really time consuming and expensive hobby, especially as like a kid. So I hadn't done it like as an adult really. I've done it here and there, but I saw a bunch of horses down the street, and I basically like knocked on their door one day when I was walking by, and I was like, I don't think they'd turn free labor down, so I just volunteer there because it gives me it gives me a sense of purpose, and like an activity and something to look forward to. So
that's so
better than being stuck in the house. Yeah.
And who doesn't love Pony Club?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time.
So like when you were attending art school, like you mentioned before, was the end goal to be a tattooer, or was that just something you were interested in at the time?
I've always wanted to tattoo since I was like a little kid. I used to draw my friends in like art class with magic markers, and I was always just whenever I saw a person with a tattoo, I'd be like, that is the coolest. I need to get into that club somehow. Like that in motorcycles. I was like, that's the epitome of cool. But then I went to college to do oil painting. But my main objective has always been to tattoo, but I didn't get into it until 3 years after I graduated college,
Oh
actually.
wow.
So
How
that
did
started
you
with volunteering as well. I worked at a bakery and then I just started volunteering at the shop that I apprenticed at. So
That's amazing.
yeah, the key is working for free until, you have the opportunity to not. So
Yeah. Did you know that it was going to lead to an apprenticeship, or were you just like so keen to get your foot in the door that you were like, I'm just gonna do anything it takes?
yeah, it was a little bit of anything it takes. So I started by getting tattooed by this woman, Abby Williams, who most recently worked at Icon in Portland, Oregon, but she was in Boston at Brilliance Tattoo, which is where I apprenticed. So I was getting tattooed by her, and every time I would come back, I would bring my portfolio for her and my eventual mentor to look at, and they would give me critiques. And there was one day I was getting tattooed where the phone was ringing off the hook, and every time Abby would put her machine down, get up, answer the phone, and I remember being like, oh, this is my opportunity right here. So I casually mentioned like, oh, why don't you guys have like somebody who works the counter, does like the emails and the phone calls and cleaning.
Very
And
smart.
Elise, yeah, and Elise was like, well, we're such a low volume shop because it's appointment only. She was like, I can't really justify like hiring somebody to do that. And I just was, like I work full time, but I'll come in on my days off and work for free. I don't think anybody would want to turn free labor down. So that's how that started. And then I remember her specifically saying, just so you know, I'm not offering you an apprenticeship. This is for you to learn how a tattoo shop works, and I'll give you a good recommendation if you're not a piece of shit and you work real hard. So I did that for, I think, 3 months. And then she had gotten back from a trip from Japan, and she fake fired me. I cried, and then she,
Shit.
yeah, I wasn't expecting it at all. I just remember thinking like, fuck, what do I do now? Like,
So
yeah,
you
no, it
obviously
was
loved being in that world. Like you were just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I definitely need to
Yeah,
pursue this.
exactly. Yeah, she was like, when she fake fired me, I remember thinking like, how did I fuck up so bad that this woman is turning down free labor at this point and telling me to get lost? The scariest thing was like, I had no idea what I had done to fuck up that bad, but she was just pulling my leg. So it was a good one. I still remember very vividly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
It's so cute that you cried about it.
Oh yeah, my mom actually, the first people I called was my parents, and they have the voicemail saved of me crying, being like, I finally got my apprenticeship. Yeah, I just remember like going into Elise's shop, which is located in Boston. I went in and I was like, it felt so different because it just like the vibe that they had there. It was like mostly women, like super supportive, very easygoing, easy to joke with them too. Like I didn't feel like I had to like worry about what I was saying or
Yeah.
how I was like presenting myself at all. It was very casual and just instantly comfortable right off the bat. So that's why I was like, if I'm going to try to weasel my way into anywhere, this is the spot I want to do it with. And that's the woman I want to, apprentice under. So
Yeah,
it
that's amazing.
very luckily worked out.
It must have been it just must have been really wonderful to do an apprenticeship in a supportive environment where you didn't have to kind of put on all this bravado to fit in with the boys club.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I hear stories about, like different, I obviously have worked with like a ton of people, men, women, and across the board, apprentice stories are always like, not super glamorous, like from cleaning up your mentor's apartment and picking up like used condoms off the floor to like, yeah, that's what I've heard. You know, I've heard some like disgusting, just like shit like that, where it's like, you know, I can't really relate to it at all, you know,
Yeah.
luckily. I mean,
But that's how it should be. Yours
well,
should
yeah,
be the
I
story of how
remember,
it happens.
yeah, I remember Elise being like, "Hey, can you come to my awesome apartment and cat sit for me? I'm gonna have a rotisserie chicken in the fridge for you when you come over." And I'm like, yes,
I'm not gonna lie, I
absolutely.
get my apprentice to cat sit for me too, but she loves it.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's like, all right, cool. Like, hang out with cats and eat chicken out of your fridge. That sounds amazing. And hang out in a really nice apartment, you know? So yeah, she was like the perfect mentor. We have, I talk to her all the time. We have kind of like a big sister, little sister relationship, and I can pretty much talk to her and go to her for anything,
Oh,
which is
that's
really
so
nice.
good.
Yeah, I've heard like 9 times out of 10 people have like very tumultuous, like venomous relationships with the people that they mentored under, you know, like
Yeah.
I've heard stories of people just having their shit boxed up and like put outside of the shop, and it's like, you're gone, you know, it's
Yeah.
really kind of shitty. So I'm glad I don't know what that's like, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like myself and many of my colleagues, like we had horrible starts in the industry.
Yeah.
And we've always discussed how, if people were just given a chance to learn how to tattoo in a safe environment, that they will be able to do so much better because they're not combating like the post-traumatic stress that comes along with various
Yeah.
kinds of bullying or abuse. They're literally just focused on tattooing, and that just, I think, is amazing in itself.
Yeah. Well, it's just like how much better could you be? You know, it's just like you'd be such an elevated version of yourself if you don't have all of those things working against you. I don't understand the point of it because it's not going to benefit anybody. You
Yeah.
know, that environment really, nobody thrives in that.
Yeah,
It's going to make you work
absolutely.
hard, but out of fear, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I find that I work harder when there's like a positive result. So, for
oh, yeah.
me, like I'm more willing to do more for someone if they're going to show me kindness in return.
Yeah. That's a good rule of
Yeah.
thumb.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like, how long have you been tattooing for now, though?
So I first started my apprenticeship, I think it was 5 years ago. And in Boston, it's a 2-year apprenticeship. And then after that, I worked for Lee's for 2 years and then 1 year in New York. I think it's just been over 5 years, I think,
Oh, you're doing
which it
such
feels longer.
amazing work.
Huh?
You're doing such amazing work for someone who's only
Oh,
like
thank you so
a
much.
baby tattooer.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's still very much like we all know you're never not learning, though.
Never.
Some days I go into the shop. I mean, not recently, obviously, but I'd be like, I think I forgot how to tattoo, or do I actually know what I'm doing? And then it's just like a constant, like, I think it's like a big mental thing as well of, like balancing confidence and, ability. Yeah,
Absolutely.
half the time I feel like I don't know what I'm doing though.
Yeah. Same. Well, I've been in it 10 years now, and I still have these moments where I'll like look at a tattoo I've done. I'm just like, who am I kidding? Like,
Yeah.
what do I think I'm
Yep.
doing here? And then you've got to constantly fight that imposter syndrome.
Yep.
You've got to have enough confidence that your customer feels, good that you're
Yeah.
going to screw up. But then also, like, I think you still have to have a little bit of that fear because it keeps you
Mhm.
driven to.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I think like once you go to the shop and you're like, I can nail that super easy. That's like the one day where your hand like slips or you like fuck something up.
Yeah.
At least that's how it goes for me. So.
I know
Yeah.
my most confident days tend to be my worst tattoos.
Yeah, when you walk into the shop feeling good and you leave later being like, well, what else can I do job wise? I don't know what am I eligible for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You like you said that you've been doing oil paintings for a while, and I've been seeing the ones you've been doing in isolation, and they're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Is like is your art making process similar to your tattoo making process? Like, do you have similar inspirations and drives, like, or do you see them as two separate focuses?
Honestly, I see them as two separate things. I think aesthetically, subject matter wise, my interests are always pretty consistent. It's like mainly like female portraiture, figurative work, and then like botanical stuff. That's always like a crowd pleaser, but my go-to is like moody kind of like women and stuff, which goes for both oil painting and tattooing. But the actual like process, and because all of my oil paintings are like rendered full color, and illustrative, but more like a little bit more like realistic.
Yeah.
But I'm a very like anal person when it comes to like detail. So I'll use like these really tiny ass brushes, and I kind of try to be aware of like the rigidity that comes along with that. So I'll, every once in a while I'll do a painting where I'm like, these are the brushes I'm using. It has to stay within this certain size because that forces you to be a little bit looser.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I also, like all of us, we're always looking at like other artists' work, inspirations and stuff online. So there's so many different ways that you can approach oil painting, like style wise.
Mm.
So like put a lemon, like still life in front of somebody, and everybody's approach to it'll be a little different. So I'm always looking at how everybody does it and trying to take little bits and pieces from other people, where it's like how they're actually like applying the paint to their palette choices and stuff. But it feels way different than tattooing, that's for sure.
Yeah. I feel like painting's sometimes more daunting than tattooing because I don't know, tattooing's so incredibly methodical and you kind of have, I don't know, for me, I find tattooing easier than painting, which is strange to
Yeah.
say, but with painting, there's so many options for what you can do. Like,
Well, exactly. Yeah. There's only one way to like pull a really good line in
yeah,
tattooing, but like you could fucking finger paint, you could like do whatever with painting, use any kind of brush you want. So there's definitely, I think that's what I find fun about it, is like the opportunity to like make choices and be like really specific about those choices you're making, because the effect you'll get.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good
It's
opportunity
fun.
to loosen up.
Yeah, no, it is good. It's a good because I don't tattoo really with any color unless somebody like specifically asks for it. If anyone asks me for color, I'm like, you should not be coming to me for this. I'm terrible at it. But well, I find like tattooing with color really overwhelming. There's just too
Yeah,
many options, and it takes line work, and the kind of like work that I do is really quick, and I have it down to like,
yeah,
I know how long something will take me, but whenever I do color, I always think to myself, why am I so slow? All my coworkers are so much faster at this, and then I just start to like get in my head about it.
yeah.
Kind of
I'm
like
definitely the
self.
same with color because there's so much
Yeah.
to take into account. It's not just picking a color scheme that works, it's understanding how those colors will sit under the pigment of the skin and how they might
Oh,
age
yep.
and how they
Yep.
might change. And black is just so much more predictable.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah, like all of my canvases, like for painting, are the exact same. It's very consistent. I know what I'm gonna get. But yeah, with people, like, and it depends on like the actual body part too.
Hmm.
Everything's there's so many variables that go into it.
Yeah, it's very daunting.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Black work, I think also like, you said that you're quite anal and I
Yeah.
definitely relate to that. And I think we have a similar style of work, but, with color, again, you've got to like step outside of control a little bit. Whereas
Hmm.
with black work and particularly just doing lines, it's very controlled, it's very measured. It,
Yep.
it doesn't like, yeah, it doesn't challenge you in ways you're not used to. It's just more like technical and scientific almost.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely on that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I know one of the things like you mentioned to me was the relationship that you have with your customer.
Hmm.
When I met you and tattooed you, I felt really comfortable with you and like, you're very easy to get along with. Is that something that is a part of your tattoo process as well?
Yeah, I definitely aim for that kind of environment, like with my clients. over the years I've gotten like pretty good at like reading a room. So if I have a client and I can kind of pick up on the fact, like some people aren't conversationalists, they don't care, they just want to get their tattoo. That's fine. Like I have no
Yeah.
problem with that at all. Because if anything, I probably work faster when I'm not like having a conversation and interacting with people. But yeah, like I love chatting with people. Some of my really good friends actually were clients of mine, like especially when I first started tattooing. And then they kept like coming in, and then I'd be like, hey, I think we're best friends now. We should probably go get dinner and a drink, you know? And in New York, like I would have some of my buddies, because a lot of my clientele in New York was traveling from New England in particular, which some of them were driving like 4, 5, 6 hours, like one way to come
Wow.
to New York. So, you know, some of them that I've been tattooing for years, I'm like, dude, crash on my fucking couch. I live like right around the corner. We'll like get dinner after I tattoo you. So it's just like, obviously I don't do that with everybody. That's like
Yeah.
kind of a, you know, a special kind of instance. But yeah, I really like, you know, like making my clients laugh and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
like I like making like gross jokes, you know, and like being kind of like poop jokes and stuff, you know. But and then talking to like reality TV, like what kind of trash are you watching? That kind of just like makes it a more like friendly environment, which I
Yeah.
pretty much aim for with everybody. Unless I get the vibe they don't want me to talk and I stop. So
Yeah. I think like it's so important to make the space more comfortable for customers and to make them
yeah,
feel more relaxed, because they're going to remember the whole process in a much better light, and they're probably going to sit better for the tattoo if they feel like
more
a positive
comfortable.
connection.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've like a lot of my clients will, you know, and it's important to like remind people that we're not like a source of entertainment at the same time.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I don't mind being one, but you know, there have been a few clients where they'd be like, oh, I love that you talk so much. Like my last person was so awkward. They didn't talk at all. All they did was tattoo me. And then you know, I always remind people like, well, you know, you weren't paying them for like a hangout session to like, you know, be entertained and like laugh. You got a really good tattoo from them. That's why you were paying them. They were concentrating on their work. Not everybody talks, you know,
Yeah.
your ear off like I do, you know. So I think that's like also an important thing to remind people is that
Yeah.
it's like you got a really good tattoo, you know.
Yeah.
Ideally it's cool to have some banter, but if you didn't, it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's really good that you actually take the time to educate your customer, because
Oh yeah.
that happens a lot where they'll complain to you about another tattooer and you're like,
Yeah, super
actually, no, that
awkward.
was just a part of the process, and you need to
Yeah.
respect
Oh
that they
yeah.
have their own way of doing things.
Yep. Yeah. And
We
it's like
shouldn't be compared like that.
no, yeah, and it almost like whenever they do say it, it always kind of sounds like negative, like, oh, they didn't talk to me the entire time. It was super weird. It's like, well, I kind of understand that, but like at the same time, you know, it's everybody's different. You can't expect the same kind of experience, you know, going from because everybody's different, you know, everybody
Yeah.
has a different work approach. And so as long as they're professional and you get a good product,
Yeah, as
you
long
know,
as you're treated with respect and
exactly, yeah, that
kindness. Yeah.
works, yeah. Yep. But you will there have been so many times where I have like I feel bad because everybody at Black Iris is like I'm loud, like I have a really, really loud voice. You can like hear me from the street. And there have been so many days where me and my clients would be like laughing. I'd be like sweating and like crying and like leave the room. And it's just like, yeah, that's what I aim for. It's like I want to almost pee my pants laughing when I'm tattooing you sometimes because it's
That's
too
awesome.
good. Yeah, it's
It's
so
so
fun.
nice when you have customers or clients rather that you can be friends with. I've had a few where I've tattooed them and I'm like, oh my God, I really want to be their friend. Is it
Yep,
appropriate for me to message them and to invite them to dinner? And like it's like that
yep.
really awkward, like, oh, you want to be my best friend.
Yeah. It is kind of like a weird like treading on, you know, like personal relationships and then professional, but I think as long as it's like a mutual thing, it's really not
Yeah.
that big of a deal.
You
It's
can
just that
usually
awkward,
tell.
like, hey, can we hang out? You know? Well, it's usually just like at the end of the session, I'm like, I'm hungry. Are you? Like, let's go grab a pizza or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's just it makes it a funner experience because I like I've been tattooed obviously by a lot of people, and whenever it's like that, I just feel so much better about it. I'm like, oh, they actually like hanging out with me. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Like they don't just want me out the door. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
right. Get out, so I can go home. Yeah, no, for sure.
So like obviously you must miss tattooing a lot right now because it's been 8 weeks,
Oh yeah.
and there's not really a an end in sight to this. But do you have any plans for your work for when you do go back? Like, do you have like a fresh take on what you're going to do? Like, are you going to incorporate your other art making more into the process? Like, do you have any ideas for what you're going to do?
That's a really good question. I've actually been thinking about that. Like the longer this goes I'm kind of like, well, shit, because I haven't done any drawings. Like, like how I have like a lot of us have like binders of like flash and pre-drawings.
Yeah,
I haven't done one in 8 weeks.
that's
So
okay.
yeah, it's and I felt really bad about it. And every once in a while I'll be like looking at references and I'm like, ooh, that'd be a really cool drawing. And I've been kind of compiling like reference images for when I do feel ready. And I think once we start to get like maybe dates, I'll kind of, strike when the iron's hot. But I've just been I've turned my brain off a little bit to the
Yeah,
tattooing stuff,
you need
which
to though.
yeah, for sure. I just hope I remember how to tattoo. Like, fuck.
It's like riding a bike. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I just keep thinking about it. I'm gonna have to practice on my boyfriend. He's gonna be my first guinea pig, I think. So I've already told him, I was like, I need to practice on you first. So
Yeah,
it's I think like, I always kind of struggle with what kind of tattoos that I wanna put out there. Like getting a request for like a specific thing is one thing, but if when it comes to things that I am like design wise have control over, like,
yeah,
well, what kind of imagery and what kind of, tattoos do I want to actually be like putting out there in the world? I've been kind of struggling with that a little bit.
yeah,
I do love like, obviously like the sad girl stuff. But there's always, I see some people that do like the most clever kind of like compositions and like tricks design wise. And my brain, I wish it like thought like that more. And I kind of
yeah,
just get like, oh shit, my stuff's like not creative enough. And I want to make sure that it's like consistent, but also has um like variation and looks interesting and doesn't just stay stagnant and looking the same over time. And I think
absolutely.
that's kind of the challenge, is making sure that I look back on my work, a year from now, and not think, well, it looks the same, because
Yeah,
like that, I think everyone's big fear is looking back on work from a year ago and being like, shit, my work doesn't look any different. I
yeah,
always look at like, I found a bunch of my college paintings here and I'm about to bring them to the dump because it like makes me feel so bad. But then I look at, the newer stuff and I'm like, well, that is just that very distinct and obvious progression of
yeah,
improving and learning.
yeah.
So
It's part of
I
the
always want to
process.
look back. Yeah, I always want to look back and think, oh, I could have done this, this, and this to make this better. If I did this tattoo now, this is how I would have approached it design wise and technically as well.
Yeah,
So we'll see. What
absolutely.
about you?
I'm very much in the same boat as you. Like, I'm kind of at a point where I want to like find a subject matter that speaks to me,
Hmm.
but make sure I'm like progressing technically as well. And it's like this
Yeah.
whole thing of like, I'm not as imaginative or as creative as I would perhaps like to be, but that's
Yeah.
okay because I know I'm able to do technical work. So it's just finding a balance and also trying to let go of all these like ideas of what I'm supposed to achieve because it's all
Hmm.
bullshit. Like this
Oh, of
idea of
course.
productivity and of like reaching certain heights. That's all just capitalist crap. But,
Yeah.
but like the actual art making, I think if we let go a little bit of all of these expectations of improving, we can enjoy the process a bit more. But at the same time, we have a responsibility to our clients to actually continue
Yeah.
to improve. And we have a responsibility
Yeah.
to tattooing as well, like so that we can contribute to a much brighter future. I don't know, there's so many like just different
Yeah.
things
No,
going on in my head.
yeah. Well, I think everything that's happened now is kind of forcing us all to kind of slow down, whether we want to or not, and
Yeah.
like be more thoughtful and like, because it's not like this race to like produce and to work. I remember like the year I lived in New York, I just remember trying to like work as much as I could, to pay my rent, to like do everything. And I wasn't actually I mean, all the tattoos I do were good, but it's just like, and I felt good about them as well. But I would like to be able to either not be more selective, but really give the piece the time it deserves and like really be more thoughtful about it, you
Yeah.
know?
It'd be
I
good to
think
be more present in the moment.
yeah, exactly.
Every
Yeah,
like tattoo you do, rather than worrying about the next one. Like,
exactly.
I
Yep.
think it coming out of this, I'm definitely going to be scaling back how much I tattoo and try to get a more balanced approach, like more painting, more drawing, more tattooing, in,
Yeah.
like more evenly, rather than tattooing every day and then like struggling to
Yep.
find the time to paint.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Because I've had people be like, "Well, why haven't you been painting?" And it's like, well, I hadn't painted since before my apprenticeship, and then when I got my apprenticeship, I was working 6, 7 days a week between 2 jobs. And then it's like when you're tattooing, you're working from home as well. Doing your drawings, your reference hunting, emails, and it's just you need time off.
Yeah, it's
So I think,
physically
yeah,
exhausting.
yeah,
And there's
I
a
think
lot of
it's
emotional
worth
labor in what we do.
Oh yeah, it's a labor of love for sure. And I think it's like taxing not only physically but the pressure of it mentally as well. And I think yeah, it's going to force a lot of us to kind of, reprioritize how we spend our time,
Yeah.
how much energy we put into things, and who we spend time with, and
Yeah.
which is a good thing, so
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
for
those
sure.
of us who like have had a moment to consider our process and to consider our goals in tattooing, I think we're going to position ourselves to do better work in the future and to
Yep.
be happier with the work we do and perhaps live a much more fruitful life.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, that would be good for sure.
What do you think tattooing is going to look like post-COVID?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, we're all gonna be, decked out and like all kinds of PPE shit. But yeah, I have some friends that I've chatted with that think it's gonna go underground again, or that states will make it illegal. I've heard like, broad spectrum of everything. People will
Yeah.
be doing it out of their houses going forward. I think it'll kind of make people think about it a little bit, maybe more seriously, just because like the shop that I'm going to be working at in Rhode Island was walk-in and appointment, but because of what's going on, I think everything has to become like appointment only.
Yeah.
So it might kind of take out that element of like spontaneity for some people.
Yeah.
I'm like, like let's just go get tattooed. Like, no, you can't really do that anymore. Like you have to make an appointment. You can't bring your buddies in. The big thing I think is, no guests. That's what
That's going to be so good for tattooers.
Oh God, I know. Thank God, because I'm always that person that like can't tell somebody to like, don't hover over me, because I have like really bad resting bitch face, and but I'm completely like painfully aware of it. So and my tone can kind of sound involuntarily harsh sometimes. So like I'm very cautious about like what I say and how I say it, or I try to be at least. So I never ever tell people like you can't have a guest. I'm always like, no, make yourself comfortable, make yourself at home, because I think for women in particular, you always are worried about being like, the bitch.
Yeah.
Or coming off as like, oh, she's just a bitch, or like, I've heard it before, and I'm aware of it, so I try to kind of be hesitant about, or cautious about how I speak. But I'm very excited for the no guest policy.
I know.
or the guest policy. I've had
I think as women
like
we're
eating food over my shoulder, like while they're watching somebody get tattooed. I'm just like, oh, dude, like garlic knots. Come on.
It's gross. Or when they lean on the table and it rocks it, like,
oh, dude, I've had like significant others like basically sucking face on my table. I just like sit there like, come on, like, how are you so like unaware of my presence? You know, like I'll just leave. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm just gonna leave. Take a moment to yourselves.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just have a moment, like, fuck down.
Like guess I'm gonna look at my cell phone. Take my off and do that. I think there are gonna be good things and bad things, and who knows if it'll ever really like go back to like normal.
I mean, do we really want to go back to normal though? That's
probably. Yeah, I mean, all the things that are going to happen could be improvements for sure, you know? So,
we might have to fight for it at some point, but like we have potential to improve our situation.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I've had a few conversations with other tattooers about how they think what's going on will be kind of a deterrent for people to come into tattooing, actually, you know, because it's, you know, you're, you know, an independent contractor. There are no benefits, no health insurance, no retirement fund unless you set your own up. And it's super inconsistent, you know, like something like this could just, we're all unemployed, you know? So I've had people be like, oh, it's going to be awesome. Nobody's going to want to get into tattooing anymore. So I've heard like I've heard everything recently. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
All the theories and stuff. But
it's hard to know. I think people will always want to get into tattooing the way that people will always want to get tattooed. I think because it's been a part of many of our cultures for the longest time. Like people have been getting tattooed for more than 6,000 years, like from what we know with evidence. And so I think it's just a really important part of us. Like the amount of messages I get of people just desperate to get tattooed when we're open. I really don't think it's actually going to be that hard to find work.
Oh, no. It's, it's awesome. Like I've had people like ask like, oh, can I put like a deposit down like now for, you know, sometime in the future? I've been turning that down just because I don't like taking people's money without like being able to like guarantee them something, you know, it just kind of doesn't feel right. But like a lot of my clients have been like getting really stir crazy. They're working from home. They're like, oh my God, I can't wait to like get tattooed. I'm like ready as soon as you are able to. So it's really good that people are not only like, you know, ready to get tattooed, but also I've been seeing a lot of people supporting, you know, artists, you know, like us, like buying, you know, the prints we're selling or the paintings. Yeah. Because, you know, paintings and like art, you know, while I do think they're important in tattoos, they're not like a necessity for like somebody to have, you know? So it's like, it's a luxury item, you know, and it's really nice that people are willing to spend their money on something that they wouldn't, you know, it's not brain surgery. We're not doing the Lord's work, you know, but it's awesome that we're able to do what we do, you know?
Yeah, tattooing like is definitely a luxury, but I do think that just art in general is a really integral part of the human experience.
Oh, for sure.
And so seeing all of our clients coming through and buying merch, even just sending nice messages or replying to stories is so heartwarming. We're very lucky.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's the little like DMs every once in a while of like, hey, like this is my heel tattoo. I can't wait to get another one once all this is over with. It feels really good. I don't think people realize like how much of an impact that makes for us. So
even little things like that aren't tattoo related. Like I have some clients who've sent me messages saying, hey, I just watched this show and I feel like you might like it and enjoy it while you're having downtime. And it's just like, oh, that's so kind.
Thanks for thinking of me. Yeah. It's funny, like that show Schitt's Creek, I like preach that shit like it's the gospel to people and all of my I've had so many of my friends and clients getting into it now and they'll like tag me in it being like, I finally started watching it, and I'm like that and Buffy. It's just like it's Buffy and Schitt's Creek that I'm like, if you haven't watched these things and you're not into them, I can't be your friend. I don't know what's going on.
First thing I did in lockdown is like start rewatching Buffy and Charmed.
Oh man, yeah. I've gotta rewatch Buffy. I usually do it all the way through once a year. You know, you kind of have to. So good. It's so good.
The legend.
It's perfect. Yeah, every time anyone's like, oh, what's your favorite show? I'm like, dude, I've got a tattoo of Sarah Michelle Gellar on my back. Like, it's definitely Buffy. So she's the best.
I actually got to tattoo Buffy on one of my closest friends, and that was so fun.
You know, I've seen that tattoo. You've done Willow too.
Yeah.
I'm aware of all of that. Yeah, I know all of that. I know. Like, I know exactly which tattoo you did. I know. Because I was like, fuck, why don't I have that? So good.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I might as well let you go. It's been so good talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really catching up.
Yeah, I know. I probably would have caught up with you in
I know,
April.
right? That's supposed to be April, right?
Yeah. You would have
God damn it.
Paris. I would have been guesting there. It would have been awesome.
I know. It's such a yeah. Black Iris was about to have a bunch of like artists that I'm like, like you. Another one is Ruby Wolf. Their work is so good, and it's like fuck, like, god damn, the timing is so bad. Like obviously that's not much in the grand scheme of things, but I was pretty bummed out.
Yeah,
but
I had like this month-long American holiday planned. I was gonna visit like Black Veil. I was gonna do Literary Ink. Like I was gonna do Strangelove in LA. I had all these plans and then had to cancel it last minute, like 2 days before the trip.
Well, this year I'm like turning 30, and I remember being like, this is the year I'm gonna travel so much. I had a note on my phone of all of the fucking places I was gonna go, like, within America and then like abroad. And I was like, this month I'm gonna go here, this month I'm gonna go there, and then all of this shit just hit the fan. I was like, this is not my year. It's not anybody's year.
No,
it's not looking good.
Everyone I've spoken to had all these incredible grand plans. Like this was their year. Yeah, 2019 was a shit show. 2020 was going to be their year. Maybe not.
No. Well, yeah. Well, we'll try to make the best of it while we can.
Yeah, that's it. We make the best of it. We learn to adapt. Those of us who are privileged enough to have a comfortable home and are able to enjoy painting or drawing or just watching TV, like, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, it could be much worse. Yeah. I mean, I haven't eaten this good in a long time. I'm at my parents' house, and it's just like I'm like living with Martha Stewart right now. It's pretty sick. I was like, I'm gonna get like quarantine fat. It's gonna be awesome.
It's self-care.
It's good. Yeah, of course. I'm indulging. I'm not telling myself no. I'm giving myself whatever I want, because I'm worth it,
Yeah, so. Absolutely. My wine intake has gone up, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think a lot. Yeah, I have like a spiked seltzer like right there. I think it's the indulgences, everything in moderation or not, but it's whatever.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you to all our listeners. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to watch the footage of our chat, you can head over to YouTube. And follow us on Instagram at notjustagirl_tattoo. I'll link all the information for Hannah in the show notes and on Instagram so that you can follow her amazing work. Please subscribe, follow, and share and spread the love. I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and remember to fuck the patriarchy.
For sure.
It was so good to talk to you again. Hopefully I'll see you. It was awesome.
Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of it. It was so much fun.